to the Identifying Security Threats Working Group for February 18th. So we've got some stuff coming up next week. There's an OpenSSF Town Hall. I hope everybody has registered for that and plans to attend. It'll be slides from each of the different working groups and kind of all up on our accomplishments over the past quarter, I think. Quarter, or a little bit more than a quarter. So looking forward to kind of seeing that. We also have John, who's new. So John, if you wouldn't mind doing a quick intro. Super short.
Yeah, so I'm John. I work for Intel. I did some similar work to this, and I presented that at B-Sides 2019 or B-Sides PDX 2019. I'll just put a link in the chat so you guys can go look at that. But basically, you know, dependency review internally at Intel, and we had this, you know, review process, and then we figured out we automated it using some machine learning and stuff, and so I thought, hey, you know, and then we expanded on that a little bit, and we wrote something that's a little more like I think the code that was associated with this repo, and so I'm curious to see if we can get some, you know, some sharing of code there.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds terrific. We'll save some time to kind of talk more about that a little bit later today. We do. Let's see. So Kay is not on the call. Okay, so we're going to move this one to next time. There have been some discussions on if we're going to use kind of let's just say outside to the working group. Help to build out the security metrics project. So, you know, to kind of take it beyond the current proof of concept, I think now is a perfect time, John, to have a conversation on like what makes sense all up. Like, is there, you know, does it make sense to continue the proof of concept in the current form, or is that just proof of concept and we need to, like, you know, either build something else or leverage something else or whatever. You know, that will, you know, we need to continue to have these conversations. So I don't have too much new on the metric stuff. Although I guess just for John, maybe I'll do a super short demo of what that dashboard currently looks like.
Cool. Yeah, I saw it in brief, but I wasn't clear on what all the metrics were collected right now based on the code that was in there.
Yeah, it's more of a it's a POC rather than a system. So that I like.
Always a good example.
Yeah. So Kubernetes has the openness practices badge program, which David runs, has data that we've collected. So that's this kind of section down here. The OpenSSF scorecard metric, which is the scorecard project under OpenSSF, collects data, which this shows. This stuff here in the middle is data that we collect directly from GitHub. So it's, you know, project releases over time, and, you know, it's what the words say. And then up here is the description, I believe, from the OpenSSF best practices area. So all this stuff, what the repo does, the repo just kind of slurps this stuff in, throws it into basically one flat database table, and then each of these queries, again, so I can't really show you at the moment, but this query is like, you know, does this key, this project name and this key have a value of 1 or true or something, and then that shows a check mark. Cool. So it's super simple, but it was designed to, you know, kind of get the conversation rolling.
Yeah, right. Definitely.
So since I haven't written my amazing email, I wanted to comment that you know, the best practices badge and the scorecard metrics, great. The little graph's cool, but I kind of question the value of some of these other metrics in the middle. I think it'd be better just to drop them, at least for now, replacing them with something more useful if so. But like the months, I think something about, hey, has it been released in the last year or number of months since last release would be helpful. But average months per release, I don't know that really has much value. I think the number of contributors over a year is probably good, but I don't know about the 90 days. And I don't believe the issues open and issue duration has really any value. I will say for the best practices badge, we close issues when either we resolved it or we've decided not to do it. But we have issues that are old that, they're low priority. We'll get to them maybe, but I'm not sure that those numbers will be helpful.
We develop some strategies for figuring out which ones are helpful, and I can talk about that a little bit at some point.
Right. Well, the problem here is I think the goal is to do this entirely automatically. And there's no convention for saying well, anyway, I think we want to emphasize right now just the metrics that are more likely to be, I kind of agree that would be useful to know. And then we can always add new metrics as we realize, oh, we ought to add that.
Yep. Yeah, so all of these, I mean, this is imminently pliable. So let's find the metrics. We can also experiment and have a, not quite baked sheet here that has metrics that it might be okay, but maybe not. And I think that's fine. But yeah, so
I don't want to kill the. I get the ability to vary, but I do think that at least for an initial showing, if they're too dubious, people will focus on the dubiousness instead of the I like this.
Yep. Well, we can move it to a different sheet, so it's not in your face or it's got a a construction vehicle on top and cool.
Okay. Yeah, but I love this overall idea. Now, of course, as you know, what I want to do is I want to see this for all open source projects, period. So go to the website and you type in the project names and it'll show you all the matching and you click on the one you met and there it is. I realize that might not be today, but
well, I mean, the nice thing here is that, OpenSSF takes some time to calculate. You can cache it. OpenSSF, it's either there or it's not. The stuff here in the middle is just a little bit of time to cache. So this stuff could all be done dynamically, modulo caching. So there's no reason why we can't do that. And there's also no reason why this couldn't be available as a tool like Scorecard, where it really is something that you run yourself on your own things or things that you care about. So you could experiment with lots of different designs.
Right. I think the challenge here would be, I think that running on your own is great, but a lot of people, it is a big difference being able to click on a website versus download, install. Oh, it doesn't install correctly.
Totally.
Or, my network doesn't let that happen or whatever. Having a URL is a tremendous advantage, even if people eventually decide to install it locally.
Yeah. I figure if we have if it's simple enough to run as a command line tool, we can just glue it to the website and then that'll be fun. Cool. Okay. So I want to spend most of today, so we'll defer this. I want to talk about security reviews because this is imminent and public and all that. We do have some work and some decisions to do. So for those of you who don't know, we went live last week with the security reviews project that we've been talking about. So we changed the URL to lowercase security-reviews, so it could be more easily, so it just looks nicer. So we've got a couple different reviews in there now. Thank you, Dylan, for doing some of the NPM ones. Thank you. Sorry, the 630 area code number that just dialed in. Hello.
Hi there, this is Amir calling.
Oh, hey, Amir. Great.
Hello, Amir.
I was
Hey,
just about to thank you for the Linux Linux kernel review that you threw in.
oh yeah, my pleasure, and I'm looking forward to adding more on there as soon as possible as well.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm assuming that these first ones are in some sense kind of shaking out the process. So, and
Yeah.
the format, we need like, we need a date and that sort of stuff.
Right. I mean, I think we have, you know, I think the format is pretty good at this point.
By the way, Mike, there's I don't know if you saw, and I can do this with other stuff too. I don't know if we decided how much we want to look at these like public, widely available ones, but there's I think 400 something npm modules. I have a separate repo because I want to add a pull request with like 500 things for you to like look at. Probably seem confusing, but yeah, we can do that. And then if you think that's good, I can do that with other kind of popular things. But I don't know if that's like something that is the goal of this repo, like you guys were discussing. So.
Yeah, I think we need to have that conversation today to hopefully resolve how we feel about that. I could go for and against it for different reasons. So yeah, so we have that, and in particular, we got another pull request. Thank you, Luigi. Yeah, thank you, Luigi. So I added.
Yes, we need to edit a configuration in our repo.
Okay.
Of course, do it, but in my I have tested in my GitHub, my personal GitHub account. Of course, the redirecting my personal GitHub account don't work well because I have connected another domain to my GitHub domain, but the redirects run, and it should be right. I suppose. I hope we can try. Maybe if it is don't work, we can revert it.
Perfect. So what do? I commit this to the like GH pages branch, and then it shows up, or is that how?
Sorry?
You know, it doesn't matter. We can chat later about the specifics. I'm just curious as to. I should know this already, but how GitHub Pages actually like knows what to publish.
Yeah, it's within the branch, and then it knows how to generate in certain cases, but in other cases you need to generate the HTML.
Got it.
So
okay. Oh,
yeah.
I got it. Okay, so I do a build from at various points in time, push the results to the GH Pages branch, and then GitHub does the magic.
Right, GitHub does the magic. Now, if you want it to show up with a particular domain, if you just leave it be, it shows up as the name of the name of user, which in this case is OSSF, and the name of project. We can also make it show up as a website on its own that does require some additional DNS setups, which I have done actually. So
cool. We can do whatever. Cool. And then last night I added a couple more reviews, and one of them, I mean, so some of them are kind of not very interesting. I mean, one on City Hash and Clap, but this one is actually the more interesting one. So I want to give you guys, come on, not a diff. I just want to see the file.
you have to click load diff.
Yeah.
Or did you do that?
Yeah, I think we're good now.
Oh.
So
Oh my.
So you guys are familiar with the dependency confusion blog post that went out?
Yes.
I think it was last week. So we've been finding a lot of attempted attacks here. So what this review here is all of those packages, packages and versions were created by let's just say security researcher. It looks like he's looking for bug bounty money. He or she is looking for bug bounty money. But I wrote this up after the packages have been removed from NPM, so there's no risk to describing the attack. But I thought that this would at least, because right now there's no public discussion of this because they are just evaporated from the NPM repository. So I thought, so one of the questions is, do you guys think that these types of reviews are relevant? Because they're not, I mean, they are kind of against a package, but it's usually like a group of packages.
This doesn't sort of logically, I mean, so I guess, forgive me because I'm just getting in here, but I thought the idea with this was to review the projects themselves, right? With the security reviews project, or is this,
Correct.
because this seems to branch into sort of a you know, an exploit space that might be a different sort of scope.
Yeah, and if there's a better place to put these, I would love to have it there.
Right. Now, see, I think the fundamental problem here is that it's a vulnerability of the package managers. And therefore, what you should say is this is a specific, it is a specific vulnerability, but you could describe it as a review identifying a systemic problem with package managers. I agree that this is not just normal kind of. I'm sorry?
Then I'm kind of just rewriting Alex's blog post.
Yeah.
On this, because that was the, hey, this is an endemic problem in how enterprises consume from.
Well, but there's value in having it within the OpenSSF stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think this may not be the right place, right? You may need a separate place for sort of systemic problems, right?
Yeah. How about this? Would it make sense? I mean, I did not mean to put it in the NPM folder. Would it make sense to have a separate folder here for other things that don't quite belong? And then if different,
I think so, yeah. They don't fit in, right?
It makes sense to do it there. We'll just move it.
Yeah, you could have like a not sure where to put it yet, and then another one for.
Yeah, I would hate to lose this. I agree. It's not really what the others are about.
Right.
But yeah, why don't we? I like the idea of an uncategorized, and we'll try to figure out. And who knows? Maybe what we really need is a separate group that works on, countering supply chain attacks, and we move that document over there.
Yep.
When there's a place to move it.
That makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah, but I think what we want to do right now is more focus on, I guess, exemplar. Here's the kind of document we would expect to see, so that people, when they look at documents, they'll say, "Oh, that's kind of what you meant."
Yep. Totally agree. Which is actually why the one that Amir posted I thought was great. Let me go there. So this is one that is against the Linux kernel's practices and policies and how vulns are reported to the kernel team and addressed and disclosed. So I thought this,
it's basically a summary and a link to the details, right?
Exactly. Yep. And the details are down here.
So there's no standardized methodology across these reviews.
No. Because there is no standard methodology in general.
That's probably going to be I quickly foresee that becoming a problem to compare sort of apples to apples and different reviewers and stuff, because this is a problem we suffered from at Intel. Was even when you have a standard methodology, you have a lot of subjectivity sometimes, and it becomes very hard to weigh things very quickly.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem there is, in order to have a standard methodology, we would have to have broad industry consensus on what that methodology is. I think right now the problem that Mike is trying to counter is there's generally no information. It's incredibly hard. If you just use Google, you're very unlikely to find a particular security review, and so having some information is better than nothing.
I guess I just want to put that out there that we should probably, there should probably be, I guess maybe, that's probably planned, right? But a path towards a methodology quickly is going to sort of save you from re-reviewing in the long friend.
Yeah.
I don't agree, because if you had a methodology, someone will say yes, but that doesn't solve my need. Anyway.
Well, you can iterate on that, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I used to work with the common criteria, and trying to agree on a methodology for doing security evaluations, I think, is way harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But given there's an option to categorize the type of review too, I think will help a ton. And given the kind of the main idea is to have a repository to inform, I think it'll certainly do the job. And the template that you came up with, Michael, on the GitHub, I think is solid as well, just to kind of keep it consistent in terms of a theme and where to find the information and what it looks like.
Yep.
Yeah, and coming back to that whole a standard methodology, if we tweak that statement to maybe some standard methodologies, where you could have a little form that says, well, which approach did you use? And if there were a couple, here is one way to evaluate, give it a name, and then say, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
this
sorry?
looks like that, I think, what's being shown right now, right?
Yeah.
I think this is, I guess this is sort of what I was talking about, right? Not at a high level, right? This
Okay.
gives you that to some extent, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think
okay.
Like the devil is kind of literally in the details, where is this kind of review differentiable from this kind of review, and does it need to be at a programmatic level, or is really the person, like, is effectively folks' workflow going to be, I use zlib. Do you know anything about zlib? Oh yeah, you do. Look, oh wow, there's one from Trail of Bits. That's super. What does it say? Oh, is there and kind of diving in that way, rather than a, I mean, there's enough metadata here that you could say that, okay, zlib 128 has non-severe issues identified, and of the 1,000 components that I use, maybe that makes zlib bubble slightly higher than ones that have nothing, but not as high as ones that have severe ones. So,
and zlib is actually a fabulous example, because there's a whole bunch of different programs that are all called zlib.
yeah.
Many of which don't have any code in common.
Yep. Which is the other reason why standardize on package URLs, so that it's crystal clear exactly what this is. Okay, cool. Following on from the PR thing, though, I feel super uncomfortable approving my own PRs, especially for things where there's a security review involved. So we need a pool of people that are, willing and able to review and approve PRs, and we can do, one reviewer is enough for now, and we can fix things in the future if we need to. But
how's this? And this is, I think I know the answer in general, but the only problem with approval is, what exactly are we approving? I mean, presumably we're not re-reviewing the work in detail.
Correct.
So basically, it's much more of a sanity check. Does this review seem review seem to be credible, or something like that? I think we.
Yeah.
I think we ought to write down just quickly a couple words. If you're approving, what does that mean? And I think it just means it appears to be from a credible source. It appears to be it appears to be accurate for what it says. We're not claiming that we re-reviewed it, and this is not a peer review or a redo of work.
Yeah.
I would be happy to. I might need a little bit of guidance with GitHub's functionality, but I'm happy to volunteer.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely, same.
I'm going to be probably a little overwhelmed next couple days, but if it's still active, if that's still hanging fire after that, I am happy to help out too.
I'll
There you go. Doesn't appear to be a 0 day. That's an excellent point.
Yeah. So I did actually add that as a wiki page. We can make it or whatever, but and I don't like the word vulnerability disclosure because we start out by saying this is not a vulnerability disclosure mechanism. But this was kind of, I tried to distill the conversation we had on one of the other issues on like, when is it okay to talk about a thing here?
Yeah.
I think this makes sense if you guys want to just give this a quick read.
Wow, that seems complicated.
I was trying to, yeah, it was late at night, so.
Yeah, I mean, and you've got duplicate. The first statement's duplicated. The first bullet's exactly the same.
No, it's supposed to be because either. Sorry, I should walk through. Either the vulnerability is public and it's been fixed, which I think is, of course, yes, we should do it. Or it's fixed. The vulnerability report is public. It hasn't been fixed, but the report was made over 90 days ago.
Yeah, that's not at all clear from your text.
Okay.
Yeah, and anytime you've got a duplicate text, and by the way, you have two ifs, and I don't know which if I'm supposed to follow. I think that you could rewrite this to be way simpler.
Okay.
Yeah, that 90 days one isn't super clear. The rest of it, I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah,
okay.
and the way you just verbally explained it is actually, I think, what you should do it. You know, basically, the way you verbally explained it is way better than this text. Okay. By the way, the other we just talked about the what am I approving? Don't tell me that it's accurate, appears to be accurate, because that's probably too much to ask. You know, I think the appears reasonable and is self-consistent, I think, is more what we're looking for.
Good.
Awesome.
Okay, so full disclosure needs to be right. But are you guys okay in principle that if somebody posts a vulnerability on wherever, it ages for 90 days, the package has not been updated, and somebody wants to write a security review, are we okay with that in principle?
My only problem is I'm still struggling to figure out what I'm agreeing to. So basically, it needs, if it's revealed here, it needs to have already been publicly disclosed.
Yep. And
either fixed or 90 days have passed.
That's so much simpler. Yes.
That's generally a good standard. Yeah.
Didn't I say something about complicated? And although I would like to strongly encourage CVEs, I hate to say it has to be a requirement, but it should be at least publicly disclosed. Yeah, fixed or 90 days past, right? There we go. I love it. Okay. Yes.
Cool. Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
Publicity disclosure, but if it is on Twitter or if it is on vulnerability database is different. I mean, if a tweet is popular, I think we need to. I don't know if we can wait for 90 days. Also, it is not fixed because if a tweet is popular, we can think that an attacker know it. And similar if a vulnerability is on a database. If it is on a database, but it is not 90 days hold, but it is on a database, the attacker can know it. Also, it is not fixed. So I don't know
but that's the problem of whoever originally publicly disclosed. We're only accepting if it's already been publicly disclosed. If it's already been publicly disclosed, it's too late. I would say must be already publicly disclosed. Can we say that?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's no, it's not in the notes.
Must be already publicly disclosed. And
Yeah. In fact, let me say, preferably with a CVE.
yeah. Yep. But so where I'm trying to go with the 90 days is, so if I drop it, if I drop an O-Day on Twitter because I'm, whatever, mean or whatever, I don't think that this project should amplify that by including a review immediately, because I think what that person did was almost certainly wrong, and that the proper vehicle is for the vulnerability disclosure process, generic process all up, to inform the author of the problem and give them time to fix it. And if they do, once it's fixed, then it's totally fair game. Or if the author has been told about it but doesn't, whatever reason doesn't acknowledge it or doesn't fix it or whatever, then I think after a 90-day period, it's in the best interest of users to know about the problem. I also don't want to get into the game of now we are disclosing 0 or effectively 0 days because we heard about it or somebody heard about it in some dark corner of the web, and now all of a sudden we are their amplification mechanism. That was at least the thinking behind why 90 days.
Yeah. I just added some new text underneath there. Basically, this is not intended to be a vulnerability disclosure process, but there's other things that are vulnerability disclosure processes, and you should use those.
Yes,
for
exactly.
vulnerability discloses.
and
I think that helps a lot, actually, if you just make it clear right from the beginning.
So try to. I mean, people aren't going to read words, but so I have this in there in the README up top. You should disclose in another way, a new thing. And then also here, I don't know if this tiny checkbox is good, but it won't let you submit unless you check the checkbox. And I don't know that this is exactly the right words either, but actually that comma is wrong because it can be a significant vulnerability as long as it's disclosed or patched. So we'll fix that. Cool. We are making progress. Okay. Next one, number 35, publication state. This was a good comment. Right now, so right now the publication state has 3 options. I was really just more trying to build in some maneuverability room in the future, because if it's just active, then we don't need the line at all, but I think we should. So for right now, I can't imagine why we would want, I mean, perhaps, well, okay. I don't know why we would ever have draft there. So maybe we get rid of draft, but then active or remove. The question is, if something is active and then somebody points out like, hey, you got this totally wrong, blah, get rid of it. Should we delete the review from the repo, or should we mark it as removed? And I could go either way. I think that if you delete it from the repo, it'll disappear from search. It'll effectively be really deleted from history, even though it's not technically deleted from history.
Well, it's not deleted from history. You always have it in the version control.
Yeah, no, sorry. I meant like if it's not discoverable by anyone, then it's like the bar to go like sleuthing through Git history is super high for like a normal person. If you mark it as removed, then it'll still be there, but it may be confusing for someone to see it and then like start reading it and be like, oh my God, this is terrible. Only to be told like, yeah, you didn't look on the first line, like, gotcha, you wasted your time. So I'm up for what group thinks.
If it's really awful, I think just removing it. It's in the version control. It can always get restored. If it's just a matter of it doesn't tell you it doesn't go in very deep, but it makes it clear it doesn't. Well, I mean, it is what it says on the tin, and it may have been more than I had before.
Okay. And
I have to drop off. I'm very sorry.
Yeah,
I'm just
no
on the
worries.
book, but this is awesome. Thanks.
Well, good. Thanks, David.
Take care, David.
Cool. Oh, we already talked about this one, so we're good on this. And hi, Ryan.
Hey, good morning. Sorry, I joined a little late.
That's all good. Okay, so we got a couple things. We can do some of these offline, but I would appreciate everybody taking a look at particularly the README and the README is probably the most important. Certainly the template, the quick start, some of the reviews. Any feedback now is a great time. I would like to formally announce this stuff next week at the town hall, or maybe the morning of the town hall or something like that. And what I really mean by that is it would be great to have a blog article go out under OpenSSF. So I'll talk about that in a sec. But I guess one of the questions that I have is I would really like some other organizations to commit to doing a couple security reviews, even if it's just one at this point. I would like to be able to say down here in the blog article that, we would like to thank X, Y, and Z for contributing, content to that. And it could be super unspecific in terms of quantity, but I think having a list of 4 or 5 organizations would kind of be good for everything. So
Agreed.
So I'm looking for, folks for that. So I'm going to come back to this. So I'll give you guys a chance to think. We do have a couple of the things that we do need specific owners for. So Luigi, thank you for jumping on the quick start publishing to GitHub pages. I think that's important for next week also, so that
don't worry.
we can change the links so people can actually do it, without having.
I don't know if it is working because we need to set some. We need to set some setting in the GitHub account. So we need to test.
Do you know what that setting is? Because we
Sorry?
can just. Do you know what that setting is? Because we can just do it right now if that's.
If you want, I can try to test because on my personal account I cannot test it because I have another domain connected to my GitHub link, and so of course there is a redirect because I have CNAME setting in my.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
And for this reason I can test it. But when I have launched the PR on my GitHub account, I can see the redirect to start to quick start page. So I suppose it run, but
got it. Okay, yeah, so it looks like here I just need to give it a branch. So if we want to call it GH pages or whatever, we'll create a branch. I'll select it and then we'll test it and see if it works.
We can try. I don't know if we can set we can change setting only for a branch because GitHub page have a setting in the account panel. So
if I just do, so was it GH pages? Is that the?
I can wait. Maybe I can share how we need to do to test it.
Yeah.
Wait. I need.
We can do this real time, and
I think it is a test of few minutes. We can test easily.
Okay. So do you want to do that? Let me keep moving, but we'll chime back in when you're ready, and we'll just do it. Okay. So second thing. So again, this was super late last night, so I know this sounds awful, but I wanted to get the point across of what I thought the blog article kind of should be. What I'm looking for is someone who would like to review and severely edit and improve this blog article so that we can send it over to the folks at OpenSSF and try to get them to publish it on whatever it is, Monday or Tuesday. So is there anybody that would like to volunteer for that?
I can volunteer for that, Michael.
Awesome.
Samir here.
Wonderful.
And yeah, I'm sorry I had to call in, but I'll definitely check the notes as soon as I get back to the office.
No worries at all. Thank you. And yeah, and I'll send you a separate email with this to connect you and kind of leave it in your capable hands.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome. And finally, I should have talked with this when David was here, because I'm sure he has an opinion here. But we do need to formalize our dispute policy or dispute process. So if somebody says, if somebody posts a review, so back here, and whatever, we say, I mean, actually, that's not a good one. This one said that the sphere issue in 1.0.0. And let's say somebody else comes by and says, you know what, absolutely not. This review is totally wrong, and you know, I want you to take it down. And then Dylan, you come back and you're like, no, this is totally legit. How do we, as the project, arbitrate that and make a decision? And how do we do that, particularly if there's a perception that we may be biased in it? True or false, it doesn't really matter. But you know, if so, I think we need to articulate the principles and the decision-making process. So that'd be number one. And then second, if somebody submits, let's say, a pull request with, you know, something that they should not have submitted. So let's just say a 0 day. Right now, it's, I mean, at that point, it's public. Or worse, we accidentally merge it. Now it's in our repo. Can't really get it out. What is the process for the submitter? What is the process for those affected? What is our process for, like, well, you know, what is our playbook there? And there was some, yeah, well, what this was about, you know, we remove an advisory, and it's like, can't really. You know, we should make it clear that you shouldn't be doing this. I think we've done a good job with that. But like, do we want it? There was one dispute resolution process. Yeah. Does it make sense to have basically a private email address, probably at OpenSSF, that will come to maintainers outside of the GitHub public universe, where those, so what you don't want is, you don't want somebody contributing a review, it looks fine, and then they're like, oh my god, no, this really, like, this is a 0 day, but they don't want to put it in the issue, like, hey everybody, I just posted this awful 0 day. You want them to be able to privately contact us. I think that has value. I hope it's not used often, but I think having something like that is at least something we should consider. You know, so somebody says, or just somebody says, hey, you wrote a review of my thing, I object to that, take it down. I don't know that we have any obligation to do so, but we should at least have a vehicle to have those conversations. Or should it be delegated completely to the TAC, which is the other way of doing it. And that way we're not even involved in that.
My gut reaction says, if it really came down to it, in the spirit of open source and open collaboration, if it really came down to it, would would it be added to a meeting agenda, just like a 10-minute, let's resolve this. We take it to a vote of, the attendance and, just resolve it kind of in a public way, because, all the meetings are public in a way, so
Yeah.
they are referenceable. So,
Well,
I mean,
and
that's
what's
kind of
stopping
just
them
gut
from,
reaction.
and what's stopping them from saying it in public somewhere else, right?
That's true.
Just because it's happening here.
Oh, no, sorry. I thought sorry. Where I was going was, if the person that was going to post the issue publicly would prefer to post the issue privately. Right now, they don't have a vehicle to do that.
Isn't there some kind of security advisory mechanism through GitHub where you can post the security? I thought they released that.
It's
Okay,
only
maybe not.
for maintainers to post.
Oh, only for maintainers. Okay,
yeah.
okay. I thought there was
What
something.
you really want the check mark that says, like, make this issue private to the maintainer only. But
okay, cool.
We can make it clear too that just if they think that, like, I am biased, for example, in that particular example, or I shouldn't have create a particular review, for example, that maybe publicly in the README or something, that, all like disputes or whatever will be handled by, our kind of organization as a whatever vote, consensus, something to kind of show that there's no kind of direct kind of level of bias or anything, that we handle things appropriately. Like maybe stating somewhere would be a good idea. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think we do need to be public about that. Okay, so it's resolved at the next meeting. Does anybody think that having an email address that is just it's the stopgap for if we missed something, or if for whatever reason somebody wants to contact us without opening up a public issue? Does anybody think that would not be a good idea? Cool. Then Ryan, is that the kind of thing that you think OpenSSF can help with?
Yeah, I think we could have Lindsay or the new person that's helping out. They can probably create that for us.
Wonderful. Okay. So I think, yeah, that's kind of all I have. So I'll send this full access. So I will copy this and send this to Amir separately so he can work off that version. But if you guys have any comments, if you guys want to mark this up, feel free to do so right in the doc here.
One comment on the if somebody has a dispute, is there going to be a way to flag it that it is in, somebody knows that comes to it that it is in dispute, that we're going to review it at this meeting?
I think the process would be, so somebody contacts us through whatever way, we say, yep, acknowledge, our next meeting is on whatever, next Tuesday, we'll talk about it then, you're welcome to join us. I think should be the normal workflow there. If it's an emergency, we can talk on Slack or email, we can figure that out. If it's, let's plan for the worst case scenario, but if it comes up, we'll be able to deal with it. Okay, cool. Luigi, how are things on your end?
Sorry? But if you want to test the GitHub page at the end of the meeting, we can do, because I think it will be really 2 minutes to test it. Okay. You need to go to setting.
Yep.
Control F, so we can search GitHub page at the end of the page. I think you can use Control F to search in the setting.
Yep. Yeah, so it's down here.
Okay, GitHub page, change to because there is a branch, because it's the
create a new branch, right?
Sorry?
I need to create a new branch, right?
No, I think no. Sorry, it is only a pull request from my repo. I mean, I will create a branch. It is called the Quickstar website, I think, but it is only
right. But you're merging this into main, which is actually, how about we do this? I'm gonna create a new. It's GH dash pages is the convention. Does anybody know?
I don't know if this is a convention about this, so don't worry.
Okay. Well, whatever. Great branch GH pages. And now GH pages looks like that, which doesn't really matter, I don't think. Go down here.
And select where I have put I have created a new folder called docs because it is a sort of standard, but we need you can need docs. And save and merge a pull request, I suppose, so we can try it.
No, I should have merged it first because now I merged it into main, but I got it. So how do I
I can create a new branch. I can we can close the PR. I can recreate a new one in a new branch. Yes, I think. I don't know. I have a privilege. Usually I fork the repo, but I think so.
Look at that. All right.
Whoa. That's awesome.
Oh, how sweet is that? That's awesome. Okay. Well, this is fine actually because I think it's fine.
I don't know if I can see your screen share because my connection is really bad today. So sometimes
that's okay.
Yes.
So here wait, that page. Chat. That should be the link direct to the quick start.
You have published something, I think.
Yeah. I mean, technically, I published everything.
Yes, yes. I do not know why, because maybe it is on root folder. Try to change to docs.
Docs doesn't exist in main.
So. Okay, because it is in my pull request docs the folder. Well, I have choose docs, but we can choose if we want to put the website in the main folder. I don't like in the main folder because it is quite noisy because we add many files in the main folder. So I prefer put in one subfolder like docs, like website. There is not a standard about this. So, yeah. And but you can use this. You can use GitHub page to see all the HTML files, and it's cool in my opinion.
Cool. Yep. And then so I think. Okay, so now.
Usually, I am not sure, but usually GitHub searches the index file, and you can create an index file to redirect to other files, like like every web server by default, or WordPress, or every. Yes.
Nice.
To redirect to, I have put only quick start in the docs folder, and to redirect to this page, I have created an index page that use JavaScript to redirect. Easy.
Perfect. Let's see if it likes it now. That's fine. I know what the problem now is. We're good. I can.
But wait, I am stupid. I mean, okay, I need to edit the PR, but don't worry, because of course I have wrong the redirect. It is it's point to quick start .html, but it should be point to security reviews / quick start. But I can.
Correct.
Yes, because if you go on the repo, it redirect to quick start, and but it's not the right path. Yep. Okay, I think we can fix easily.
Yeah, that one's easy. So really, what that means also is that the README
In the docs I can fix it. I can open a new pull request right now. I think.
Yeah, I mean that would be great. Or I can.
Oh, you can edit also from the GitHub editor online. I think it is one line 3 in the index file. It is a window location redirect. So.
And then.
I don't know if. It's curious. I mean, I think we need to put security review / quick start, but I am not sure. Of course, we can use maybe
security review. So yeah, so without the slash should just magically work. All right. Let's see.
Oh, without slash. Nope, not work. But I'm not sure. Maybe there is a cache. Wait a minute.
I know it's because committed it to. That's why development is hard. Okay.
Usually I use the entire domain. I use OpenSSF, for example, OpenSSF.github.io / name of the repo / page.html. But because usually it is easy.
Okay. Cool. We'll figure this out. We don't need to have everybody walk through the code. Cool. So I think we're in good shape. So I'm thank you, Amir, for the volunteer on the blog thing. Thank you for Luigi on the GitHub pages. I think we're good for everything. Is there anything else that anybody would like to talk about?
Were we gonna?
sorry.
Go ahead. Oh, me. Yeah. So, I was gonna say, were we gonna end up discussing just to like kind of clarify confusion around like what kind of reviews we're just in general that we're looking at to submit?
Absolutely, yes. Do that right now. So the question is, so NPM issues security advisories. They publish them on GitHub, so they're actually quite easy to find. So this is an example of one of them. It's just JSON, so it's structured data. It goes against. I mean, it's a little. The way that they do vulnerable and patch, we'll have to work out how to translate that to package URLs. But the question is, would basically syncing the GitHub security advisories to our repo provide value? The argument for it is that having fewer places for consumers to go is better for consumers. Like, I didn't know that this site existed, or I didn't know that this repo existed until whatever last week. The GitHub security advisories like website is fine, but not super discoverable. The argument against including this is that it's a vulnerability notification. It's like a CVE database. We're not going to suck in all the CVEs and display them. I don't know. Thoughts?
If I could jump in, Amir here. I would say it's a good thing, absolutely, because you said it yourself. I mean, there really isn't a single place to go to see what kind of security research or audits or security reviews being done. And I think in general, security reviews have a big PR problem and an awareness problem. So having this as a repo, as for the public to access kind of in one place, I think is going to provide a lot of value, even alone in awareness, just because typically, as more organizations and more folks are aware of this kind of work being done, hopefully that will promote more organizations and folks to get on board, so to speak. So I think it's a fantastic idea. And I think, there's a lot of resources in the bug bounty space and then a lot of different kind of offshoots of this. But I think security reviews in particular, they could use more resources. And I think a repo like this is definitely a great place to start.
Cool, thank you. Anybody else? Particularly naysayers?
So is this mirroring on the as a service site is what you're talking about? The one that you displayed that collects metrics, or where are you mirroring this?
Yeah, sorry. So what we're proposing effectively is to mirror content like this, which is hosted by Node Security, into our security reviews repo.
Okay. I mean, you're going to just take all of this stuff and put it in the Git repo?
That would be the proposal, yeah.
That seems unnecessary, because if you have a service that you're providing, you could just mirror from their Git repo, because you're just going to end up getting out of sync. If you have your service, right, your web service that you provide, and you can just mirror.
So we don't have the web service today. So the security metrics, the
I think that's going to become a headache very quickly if you mirror it into the Git repo. It seems like if there's already a Git repo that holds that information, you could just reference the Git repo, and then once you have the the dashboard, what you want, then you can proxy through that, right? And that way you have one source of authoritative truth.
Yes.
Or you could add it as a submodule, or I mean, do you plan on editing it at all, right? If you plan on editing it at all, then yeah, it makes sense to add it. But if you don't plan on editing it at all, then
a submodule might. Do submodules show up in the GitHub? Like,
yeah, they link. They don't. You can't go down the tree, but it'll take you to the repo.
Yeah. That's
but
actually,
you
do.
May, but that will mean that you have to tag it to a specific commit, I believe.
Right. Okay, but we could just weekly increment that to head.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I just worry that you're going to end up with a sync problem, and obviously you can an out of sync problem based on the data, and if you don't plan on editing it, it doesn't make sense to replicate the whole structure, right? And if you did, then I mean you would obviously your tracking version changes, right? But yeah, there's no reason to track any changes if you're not going to edit it.
So. Well, so I mean so from a consumer's perspective, if they wanted to, so if we didn't have anything to say about closure util, but no one wrote a review like for us for closure util, but this one exists here.
Yeah, I think that's a case. That's a case where this is an ideal use case for the web front end, right, type of thing, because then your proxy, right, you choose, okay, basically, if I have no review, then I display this, right? This is the information that I have, right? But otherwise, then you end up with an alternate structure for your review documents, right? If depending on whether they're NPM based or node based or have been contributed.
That makes sense. So perhaps, okay, so the I guess the web front end could have a, type in closure util, and it says security reviews none, NPM advisories 1, CVEs, whatever. In this case, I don't know, none or one or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that fits with your current model. It seems like.
I think that makes sense too. But that would require folks to use the front end. Oh, I guess we could do a web service too that does the same thing. Submodule would also work, but the submodule at that point is really just, we might as well
Just a link.
put a link to like friends
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
which wouldn't be bad either, because like off the top of your head, do you know the one for Ruby? Like I don't. I'm sure there is one, but
Yeah, you would just probably want to replicate so if you want to, sort of mirror this in, you want to make sure that the directory structure is going to be the same, right? So if you have a review, then you need to sort of you need to have some kind of automation that grabs this stuff and puts it, where it should be in your repo, commits it if there's no review, right? Otherwise, it's really just another searching exercise.
Just to jump in here, the whole like syncing issue and finding things, like once you just like script that up and kind of fit that to each kind of public like NPM or Ruby or whatever it is, then they don't change. I don't see like why it would require a whole ton of like manual fixes once it's like automated.
Just as part of the GitHub Action build on GitHub, it separately does a clone of, for this one in particular, for npm security, which could just be one of many. It just does a clone import. I guess the GitHub Action, I don't know if it has the ability to commit back.
Yeah, you should be able to commit back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends how you want to do it, right? Yeah, whether you want to proxy it through the web front end or whether you want to duplicate the information in the Git repo. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
You may need because the one thing that can happen with this is when you think about upstream repos, right? And like what happened with LeftPad and stuff, right? Where you end up with a new repo of the same name or something, right? I don't know if I think they fixed that in npm or something, right? I can't remember what.
They do security holding packages, like.
Yeah, but sort of other package managers and stuff, right? I don't know. You never know what everybody else has done. So, so that can be, I don't know. I think the GitHub Actions thing makes a lot of sense, right? You really want to go with. I mean, because that gives you an automated way to do this, right? You want some kind of automated way to do this, and you want to maintain the structure in the same format.
Yep.
And then you just
actually.
Then if somebody adds a review, do you overwrite? Do you add two?
I think we add two. We wouldn't overwrite because there could be instances where I'm reviewing Elasticsearch from a operational security perspective, and Dylan's doing one from a crypto perspective, and whatever. So I think in theory, they could conflict with each other, and I don't know that we want to.
So maybe you have directories for each project. So because right now you have MD file, right? Linux kernel MD. So then you would end up with a directory for each project, right?
Yeah. Sorry. Security is so the way that it's organized now, it's similar. So it's npm project name, and then
I see.
Version.
Linux kernel was unique.
Linux kernel is unique. Yep. And so they should just kind of fit. This is basically the package URL like expand.
Okay, yeah, that's part of where my proxy web service suggestion was coming from, was the unique per. So yeah, cool. All right, yeah, that sounds a good approach.
Okay, so how about this? Let's what I propose is let's have one more discussion on this in 2 weeks when we have a couple more people on to make a decision. So let's hold on doing that, because I think once you do the giant merge, it'll be hard to undo that if we decide that was the wrong thing. So let's go slowly here.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, Yeah. Anything else, anybody? Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time. I hope to see everybody at the town hall next week, and hopefully we'll have a blog article out shortly before then on announcing this project, and then certainly amplify and contribute. Wait, sorry, before everybody leaves, I forgot one more thing. Promise to come back to this. Yeah, this guy right here. So now would be a great time to open up a PR with at least one of these. So what I'll do is I'll take all the PRs that I have. I'll make sure that they're all merged before or actioned before the town hall, and we'll just use that as the basis for the kind of the content contributors. Obviously, there's value in doing other things other than just content, and we thank everybody for that. But I'm gonna see if I can call in some favors and have other folks contribute here too. So,
do you guys want to have a little technical discussion on the similar work that I had done now, or do you want to do that some other time? Or
we have time now. We have till 10. So, and we can
Cool.
we can do it again later if we need more time than that. But
all right, cool. Yeah, I just want to give you guys a brief overview so we can share learnings, be on the same page here. Okay, so let me I think I can present here.
If not, let me know. And
Let's see. Are we good? Nope,
Yep.
Wrong screen. Yeah, this is the wrong screen. Okay. Damn it, 2 monitors. We're actually doing some sort of similar stuff internally now as well. Okay. Here we go. So anyway, so I gave this presentation at B-Sides PDX and back in 2019, and we did some dependency review process. It's pretty much a similar effort to this internally at Intel. And what we ended up with was we standardized we had a set of reviewers on the open source security team, and we were responsible for reviewing all of the open source packages at Intel. They're that development teams at Intel were using from open source. The way that we did this was we built this review, or we had this review form. It's similar to this. This is sort of a legal approved one. I'm going to see if I can get legal to let us share a little more. And so basically we go through and the reviewers would look at the upstream URL that was submitted by a project team that wants to use this dependency, and they would go through this form and they'd say, okay, I'd answer these questions as a reviewer, and that would help me. This form helps guide my decision whether this is basically I should use this or I should not use this project. So a bit of a different use case here based on issue severity and stuff, but this is essentially a thumbs up, thumbs down on whether you should use this thing or not at a high level. And it's based, on maintenance and security practices. Okay, well, most of this presentation is about automation. Let's skip down to sort of the thing that is more interesting here from this perspective. Okay, so this is basically, it's a Python project, and so we sort of took this a little bit farther and made this tool called Should I, and Should I is essentially this idea of, okay, well, we run pip install to install something with JavaScript. Well, should I install it? So instead you run should I install and then the package name. So we've got this sort of data flow execution engine. It's this directed graph execution thing. It's not super important to this conversation, but let's see. Okay, yeah, so I guess this is good, but essentially this is sort of a metastatic analysis tool for Python, and we're ending up, extending it to be the idea is to extend it to be a metastatic analysis tool for anything. And what I mean by a metastatic analysis tool is that it's going to run other static analysis tools. So, arbitrary tools, and collect all of their results. So this is very similar to the project, that other project. What is that one? The one that's the checklist project, right? Similar to that is the idea, right? Sort of create this extensible interface so that you can keep adding metrics that you collect about a project, right? And then on top of that, so this is for Python, and then what we wanted to do on top of that is create something that works for other languages. And so we've sort of expanded. Let's see, what do we have now? I think I don't know if we have all of these. I think we have Go and Rust and Python right now, and just kind of, some tools here, right? And so so that's the idea, right? And this went with the approach of, I can run this client on my somewhere, right? Like I could run this as a local developer, and we also have it exposed itself as a web service as well. So it's a sort of same thing, different interface. You can run it as a command line tool, or you can run it over the web or HTTP. But yeah, so this is we built this framework so that we can collect arbitrary metrics, and we've got some metric collection things, and then also the idea is that the way that it's written allows people to write small metric gatherers without having to worry so much about all the code that other people have written and fitting it all together. And so that's the gist of what we were doing here.
Nice.
And I sent the link in the chat. I can maybe, maybe you could put it in the meeting minutes or something if somebody wants to go, poke around more at it. But that's basically what we've been working on. It's sort of an ongoing project. We haven't done much work in this space, but I have some students that are involved, and through Google Summer of Code, they've been working mostly on sort of the machine learning aspect of this project. But the security aspect of the project, I have one student who's interested in doing this, and he's pretty good. And so we could have we have some work, people who can do work on this if we want.
Nice.
Or and kind of part of this is, right, you can expose it as a web service, right? You guys have a web service right now. We can stand up a few of these things in containers written in whatever languages we have, and we can just start thinking about what metrics should we collect, right? And get some muscle behind writing some stuff to go collect those.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, it reminds me. So I mean, I think a lot of security teams go down the path of like, let's collect a whole bunch of tools and put them in one tool, and then kind of abstract that stuff away. I'm particularly interested in the machine learning part, because the challenge that I have, frankly, is we collect too many issues, and
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. So I kind of glossed over that, but so this is sort of the first step, right? Is gather all the metrics, and here, I'll flip back to my slideshow. I shouldn't have glossed over that. So, oops, too many windows. Okay. Come on, give me that tab. All right. There we go. All right. So basically what we ended up doing is we had this review process, right? Like I showed you this form, and I'm going to see, so this has been a big fight to get even this form, which is not the real form, out based on legal stuff. But I'm talking, I sent some emails while we were talking here, and I'm going to see if we can get some of our reviews publicized. I will make zero promises on that, and let's not be optimistic at all. But hopefully we've already got reviews, right? Ideally we could publish them, right? And that would give some insight into the methodology that we use as well. So basically we had these review forms. The other part of this was that a lot of these review forms were not filled out. So if we do contribute reviews, we're going to go make sure that they're ones where the form was filled out well. And so this was sort of the crux of our problem here. So we went to go apply machine learning to this, because we basically had this, giant data set of good or bad in the review form data. And so this is, you should be able to train a classification model on this, right? So we were just going to train different models until we get one with the right hyperparameters and the right, model architecture to give us good accuracy, right? And then then we can just go throw it into production. But obviously, we had some bad data here. So if we contribute ones, we're going to be contributing ones that we make sure have the form filled out, right, and follow the proper methodology. Because part of the problem that happened was basically we have other full-time jobs, and this is something that was sort of thrown on us, and the automation was how we got it off our backs. But we'd go and review things, and by the time we're almost done reviewing it, then we're like, okay, now I don't want to go fill out the drop downs. So basically, we switched this, we flipped this a little bit, our plan here, and we said, okay, let's go collect that form data, right? Let's automate the collection of it, since we already have the classifications. And then we can go and essentially just keep this, we'll repeat this process until we get good accuracy. So generate a data set do sort of feature engineering on the data set, decide what features matter, right? And that's what I talked about a little bit earlier when David was talking about, what things matter. We have some ways there's some ways that you can figure out sort of what things matter in determining a good, getting a good accuracy. So we created this sort of plug-in architecture to collect arbitrary different things. And then we went and we basically did this loop here, this train, evaluate, pick new features thing until we got good accuracy, right? And so that's why part of why having sort of standard methodology and standard methodology, and then agreeing on figuring out what data really matters, can help us, come up with an automatable approach here. And I think that that's part of why the methodology matters, and also why, it's important to figure out whether we're doing a classification based thing or something. Like what is one of the goals of the project? And I think figuring out how are people going to use this project, right? The security, the identifying security project, the security threats, right? So like you said, are people going to come and they're going to look at the report, right? Or are they going to go and, are they going to automate this and basically take their bomb and scan it against the security threats project and say, okay, any of these, who are severe, right? Or basically say, okay, the ones in these categories, I know we need manual review on. The ones where they aren't, I need to go, I just accept that, right? And figuring out sort of how people are going to use this can help us determine, what we collect and how we automate it, I think. So yeah, I'm really interested in working with you guys on this.
Cool.
I think that obviously this is cool stuff, and so let me know how I can help, and I intend to keep coming. So.
No, that's awesome. Happy to have you here. I did post a link in the chat. We did some work last year and a half, sometime in the recent.
Oh yes, I was looking at this. Yeah, I wanted to integrate this.
Yeah, so that should be, and obviously if that is not providing you the signal that you're looking for, let us know, because it's
yeah, I looked at this. This is one of those things, that I wanted to integrate this, because this is cool, right? This helps you figure out, also sort of what kind of, this is definitely, it's in the same vein, right? And sort of this idea of you sort of just spider out and try to find more information, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like this.
Cool. And then the other one that I would be remiss if I didn't plug was this guy, OSS Gadget, which was our attempt at, like, we do a lot of things with open source, which is like, how do you find how do you actually download the bits for the package, given, and how do you calculate risk or health, or we're doing one for typo squatting, which is in progress, and things like that. So,
this is great.
Little command line tools, cross-plat, and all that, and you're welcome to,
Oh, fantastic! One of the other things that I'm really, this is one of the harder problems in this that I'm curious about solving is how do you compile an arbitrary package? When you get into C and C++, it's very tricky. And then because you need to compile it to run your static analysis tools. And so I'm curious, have you seen anything on that?
So obviously we're kind of a little bit biased towards CodeQL, but CodeQL does have auto builders, and my understanding is it's a 70 or 80 different configure and make, or CMake, or
throws it at it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
There's also a VC package where I'm starting to look at that, because I believe that has some information on how to because the whole idea behind VC package is, it's the package installer for C and C++ stuff. Yeah. And there's a couple thousand packages already kind of defined there. And I think there's enough, I think it's like a CMake wrapper for a lot of these. So that might help. And then for the JavaScript stuff, there's a package called Trust But Verify, which I think it just does it probably also has like 5 or 6 different builders. And if the bits that pop out are the same as the bits that you get from NPM, then it says reproducible. Otherwise, it says fail. So there's a couple different approaches. But
nice, awesome. I'll check this stuff out. Thanks.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, it's great to meet you all.
Great meeting you, and everybody else. Thank you for attending. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday.
Bye.
Bye all.
Everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.